the phrase, "It's okay to not be okay." Literally, that phrase can help create safety. One of the most dysregulating things a nervous system can experience is being told, internally or externally, that what it's feeling is not acceptable, that you should be further along, that you should be handling this better, that your emotions are too much or not appropriate or inconvenient. Every time you fight your emotional state, every time you push down what you're feeling or white knuckling through it, you tell yourself to get over it. Your nervous system reads that as a threat because your nervous system is the one generating those feelings. And when you reject them, it experiences that rejection as unsafe. Hey there, and welcome to the Heal with Grace podcast. I'm your host, Grace Secker, and I'm a holistic licensed therapist and nervous system coach who believes that the chronic and often unseen symptoms you're living with are a sign of something deeper going on, a sign that your nervous system needs attention. In each episode, I'll share the science behind the most common chronic health disorders, plus holistic tips using mental, physical, and spiritual practices. You'll hear what I've learned in my journey and the true stories from our trusted guests, so you can feel less alone in your experience and give yourself grace no matter what you're going through. So without further ado, settle in and get cozy. It's time to heal with Grace. Hello, and welcome back to the Heal with Grace podcast. All right, y'all. So today we're going to get into something that really is huge in our nervous systems, right? Like understanding what safety is. We hear that concept or that term all the time. You have to feel safe in your nervous system and send safe signals, right? You need to feel safe. How many times can I say it? You want to count throughout the episode how many times I say safe? Maybe it'll really retrain more and more and more of your brain that you are safe. Okay, all jokes aside, it really is genuinely true and genuinely vague, right? Like, what is it? One of actually my most popular podcast episodes was with my friend Vanessa Blackstone, who's one of the co-creators, co-authors of the Pain Reprocessing Therapy Workbook. And our episode was all around how to create authentic messages of safety. And that was in the very, very early days of this podcast, like year one. And so I thought I would do an updated, not necessarily update because the lessons, the truth is still the same. But I want to go a little bit deeper and give you specifics, give you examples of how to do this, because that's one of the biggest things I hear from people, right? Like, how do you actually create this level of safety or just any level of safety, especially if you've been so disconnected from your body or you've been so focused on your body? It's hard to be like, well, my body's always breaking down. Or maybe you dealt with body image or disordered eating and like you definitely hated your body or disconnected from it all the time, right? So it's hard to feel like, what does safe mean? What does that even, what does that mean? So today is all about that. I'm going to walk you through 6 different concrete ways to build safety in your nervous systems. You can really try them out and feel into which one helps you. So I'd highly recommend saving this episode so that you can keep coming back to it and listening to it because, I mean, we definitely know that we need to hear things over and over and over again, right? Because, I mean, that is the only way that we're really going to solidify this work. And not just hearing it, but really being in it, really being in the practice of the somatic shift of your body, feeling safe. And just remember that you don't need to be feeling safe 24/7. That's not realistic. That's not normal. We're supposed to go out of stress response and back into regulated response all the time. But if you're in chronic symptoms, if you are depressed or anxious or are not really sure how you're feeling, you've never really connected with your body, then you're probably more in the dysregulated stress place in your body and nervous system than you are in the safe and regulated. So that is why you're here, and that's what we're going to talk about. So before I dive into the 6, I do want to acknowledge that your nervous system has one primary job. It's to keep you alive. It's constantly automatically scanning for threat. And when it detects something dangerous, it responds, fight, flight, or freeze, right? Or collapse. These are not choices. It's not something you're consciously doing. They are biological responses that happen faster than conscious thought. So the problem with chronic pain and illness is not that your nervous system is doing this wrong. The problem is that it's doing it in response to the things that aren't actually dangerous. The food, the environment, relationships, your emotions, your authentic self, your fear of being your authentic self. That is what your nervous system is being dangerous, which is what we need to rewire and remind your nervous system, hey, actually, these things are safe. So your nervous system is constantly doing its own threat assessment below the level of your conscious awareness. And in chronic illness, that threat detector has been calibrated in a way that keeps you in survival mode even when you're technically safe. So, creating safety isn't about telling yourself to just calm down, I'm safe, I'm fine on a conscious level. It's about embodying the feeling of exhale, the feeling of I'm okay right now. The feeling of I'm present right now. I am not in any threat or danger. It's about giving your nervous system that real repeated evidence that it's okay to come out of protection mode. And so, if this is something that I'm already talking and you're like, yeah, I need to understand that. Yes, I need to know that. Keep listening, obviously. But I also just want to add in something here that just listening is super important, right? Really important. But the practices of these 6 things I'm going to tell you are more important than just listening to this. Really feeling in your body that safety or acknowledging that your symptoms are not coming from real structural damage and they are coming from a stressed nervous system. Understanding that helps actually already create the safety. And so this takes more than just listening to this short episode, right? It really takes the practice of doing it over and over and over again and really learning all the skills and tools that go deeper than just this podcast episode. And so, if that is appealing to you and you really want to get out of pain and illness and you want to actually feel freedom in your life, which comes from feeling safety first, like being able to just move throughout your day without thinking about, oh, how's my body going to react? Right. Or wake up in the morning and not have to think twice about what you eat because your body loves it and you get to enjoy food, right? Or not being afraid of traveling because you have a felt sense of safety in your body and you've rewired that so that you can go about living your life in the world and enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. That's why we create safety, all of those reasons. And so that's exactly what I teach in my course, the Mind Body Healing Method. It's a right now self paced course where you can work at it in your own time and you get it for life. And if you want extra support, you can add on private calls or you can join one of my small groups of people that I work with in the Mind Body Healing Method. Those are for you. But first and foremost, just to get this information solidified in your mind and your body, it's really important to have some kind of tool or framework to do that so that you can take it with you anywhere, anytime, traveling, being in your day. If you're stressed with kids, you can throw on a skill and calm your nervous system. That's exactly why I created it. So, if you want to grab that, if you want to grab the course, you can find the link below for the Mind Body Healing Method. And if you're interested in more small group component where I really guide and lead you and mentor you through the process, you can DM me, you can email me, and let me know that you're interested, and I'll add you to the waitlist to the next cohort. Okay, now let's dive in. So, first and foremost, number one, which this came from Vanessa, and I love it so much. This is what our previous episode was about. The phrase, it's okay to not be okay. Literally, that phrase can help create safety. And it sounds too simple, okay? So just stay with me. But one of the most dysregulating things a nervous system can experience is being told, internally or externally, that what it's feeling is not acceptable, that you should be further along, that you should be handling this better, that your emotions are too much or not appropriate or inconvenient. Every time you fight your emotional state, every time you push down what you're feeling or white knuckling through it, you tell yourself to get over it. Your nervous system reads that as a threat because your nervous system is the one generating those feelings. And when you reject them, it experiences that rejection as unsafe. Even just having a sticky note of it's okay to not be okay on your mirror, on your phone, on your computer, whatever, helps an exhale happen, right? It helps the like, yeah, it's okay to not be okay. But because so much of us are just holding and controlling, trying to get better. Like, why am I like this? Why can't I get better? Why am I so stressed? Stop thinking this. Stop doing that. But guess what? You're not supposed to be okay all the time. You're human. You're supposed to be sad and angry and frustrated and sick sometimes and not okay. And that's normal. Now, I understand if you're here, you might be not okay more of the time, which, we want to get that balanced out a little bit. But the whole point here is just to accept where you are and recognize, hey, it's okay right now to be in this moment and not be okay, especially around emotions, right? Like what creates safety is the opposite of fighting yourself, but being with what's true without needing to fix it or move past it quickly. And this doesn't mean staying in the pain or the illness or the thought process or the anxiety longer than you need to. It just means letting the pain be acknowledged first. And that feeling that you feel like you need to move through your system, that is put to the side for a second. And you just let yourself cry or be in pain, whatever it is. To be honest, in my own life, this was one of the hardest shifts for me. I had an extremely functional relationship with my emotions, very good at processing them intellectually. I can analyze everything and anything, which is why I was a pretty good therapist in the beginning, analyzing all the thoughts and behaviors and actions, right? But to be honest, in the beginning days of being a therapist, I wasn't great at holding emotions for other people because I couldn't do it for myself. I could understand them, I could tell them it's okay to feel it all, right? But what I was not good at was letting myself actually land the emotions in my body, knowing that it's okay to feel these, what I thought were quote unquote negative emotions. The, okay, you're sad, I see you. Now, what do we do about it? Habit was really deep, right? And it's not about, okay, what do we do about it? It's just being with the emotions without immediately going into problem solving mode. Same with your pain and sensations. Being with the pain without going into problem solving. And that's where some of my biggest shifts happened, recognizing how to be with instead of fight. Okay. The second one is the way to understand how to feel safety, how to have safety in your nervous system is the felt sense of it. So the conscious thought of like, it's okay not to be okay is a thought process, right? It might have a physiological response when you start to say that to yourself. And that's the second part. The physiological response to safety is so, so important. So I'm going to explain this because a lot of people, like if you're here and you've had chronic symptoms, you're not actually in your body, which you might be like, I am all the time. All I'm doing is being aware of my body, but you're probably fighting it. You don't like it. You don't want it. You're criticizing yourself, shaming yourself, feeling hopeless, all the things. And I really say this with full empathy because leaving your body, not liking it, forcing it to be different, wanting it to be different is a completely reasonable response to having a body that hurts all the time or scares you. But you can't regulate a nervous system you're not connected to. Safety has to be felt, not just understood. Polyvagal theory actually points to the ventral vagal state as the place where we experience safety, connection, and calm. And you can't get there by thinking your way there. You get there through body based experiences. So I want you to bring about a time in your life where you felt engaged. You felt present. You weren't thinking about anything else other than what was going on in that moment. Maybe it was a vacation when you were younger, or it was one of those times where you belly laughed with a friend and you're both on the floor rolling around because you're laughing so hard. In those moments, you're probably having a felt sense of safety. You've all felt it. It's just something you may not recognize how to navigate or activate. And this is where somatic work comes in. So practices that help you build a felt sense, a direct physical sense of what okay feels like in your body is not a thought about being okay. The thinking about being okay can help you feel that, but it's not just saying it. It's not just, okay, cool. I'll say that I'm okay. I feel okay. I'm safe. If you're not really embodying that, actually sensing it, it doesn't fully connect. It's not bad or wrong and it still helps you, but we need you to embody it. And this can be small. It can be feeling the weight of your body in a chair and recognizing I'm supported right now. My body is being held. It can be putting your hand on your chest and feeling the warmth of your hand on your chest. It can be noticing that right now, in this specific moment, nothing is wrong. For me, warmth within my body is safety. I have a very strong meditation practice based on many, many years of meditation, spanning back to my really strong yoga days. So for me, when I can meditate and ground, that's where I feel it the most. And that's where I can activate it. But you don't have to have a strong meditation practice to do that. You can feel it in all these ways I just described, or just noticing your breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Noticing if you do that 10 times deeply, how you drop just a little bit in regulation. There's safety there. Maybe you feel the ground beneath your feet when you step outside. Yeah. These are all little examples, and you have to start finding your own examples of safety in your body and what that feels like. Maybe it's a hug, right? You feel a hug from your loved one or a pet, that warmth that you get when you feel love. That's safety. Okay, number three, releasing the idea that you have to be somewhere you're not. I love this one because it's also a hard one, especially when you're in the beginning of this work. So, this one is about the particular kind of dysregulation that comes from constantly living in the future or the past. You're planning around symptoms that might happen. You're grieving the person that you were before you got sick. And you're just angry and resentful for having to deal with all this shit. 100% valid. I want to say that. But if you are constantly stuck here, if you're always looking at what's wrong, why am I here? I can't believe this is happening. I'm so hopeless. This is never going to get better. If that is your mindset, if that is the place where you are always so effing pissed that you're here and you wish you were somewhere that you're not, I love you, but you're not going to regulate in that state. If your mindset's always there, it's going to be really hard to make any progress, any healing. So I got to call that out because I've seen it time and time again. People are so frustrated. Every time they talk about this, they are just, everything sucks, essentially. And again, I was there. I get it. It seems like everything does suck, but we've got to change that. We have to change that in order to help your body feel okay, regulated. So, in pain reprocessing therapy, one of the core practices is something called present moment awareness with safety, bringing in the felt sensations of positive feelings, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're consciously orienting to right now and asking, am I actually in danger in this specific moment? Not, should I be in danger? Was I in danger before? Is something wrong now? Most of the time, the answer is actually no, even if you're having pain. We need to update your system to remind it you're not in danger. So in reality, you're not. So the nervous system can register that, but only if you bring it there. It won't find the present on its own. It defaults on the last threat it remembers or the threat it's anticipating. And this is also where self compassion comes in a very specific way. Releasing the idea that you're behind, that you should have healed by now, that your life has taken a crazy turn and you can't believe that you're here. So many people are doing better than you right now. Look at them. They have this cute family and I'm not even close to that. This is taking too long. Those narratives are literally retraining your brain and your nervous system to stay in that, to stay in the stuck. It tells your nervous system that you are failing at survival, which is a threat. So I am not doing this to shame you and tell you like you're making everything worse by doing this. I'm gently, maybe not so gently, I'm being pretty direct because I think some of you need the directness to see these times where you're stuck in this place of, I wish I was somewhere that I'm not, and to come back to, even if I don't like where I am, it's where I am right now. And I'm okay in this moment. And I am helping myself move forward. Because the paradoxical statement of you can't change until you accept where you are is 100% true in this place. I remember how much energy I used to spend living in a version of my life that wasn't happening, mourning the version that I was before I got sick, or dreading the version where I never got better. And I was always behind in certain areas of my life because of my body. So I was actually never in my life, right? I was either in front or behind, constantly in my mind. And that absence from the present is completely exhausting and it keeps your nervous system in a state of low grade emergency. So that is really what I want to drive in here is what we're actually talking about is radical acceptance. And remember, please remember that acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it or love it. Acceptance just means this is what it is. This is the present. You don't have to say, I love where I am. Everything's wonderful and great. No, it's neutrality. It's, I'm here, and I'm working on helping myself. Number 4 is emotional expression. I talked a little bit about this in the beginning, and some of you might say expression dysregulates me, which maybe in the beginning it can a little bit. But in order to feel safe with expressing emotion, which your body doesn't feel like it can, your nervous system deems emotion like anger, sadness, resentment, fear, all of those your nervous system says are dangerous and are threats. So we have to change that. In order to change it, you have to feel those things and create safety while you feel them. So it's not just the emotions that need to be felt, they need to be expressed and move through the body and outward. Because suppressed emotions are not just physiologically uncomfortable, they are physiologically activating. Your body prepares to express an emotion, it generates the energy for it. And when that expression is blocked, the energy doesn't dissipate. It stays in the system, contributing to chronic activation. It's stuffed down and creates this reservoir of repressed emotion. And so then your brain and your nervous system are like, yeah, we're keeping that cap on the reservoir. Those things aren't coming out. And over time, it overflows, and your body is like, well, we can't feel those, so we're going to feel the physical pain. So it's not just about talking about it. It's not just about consciously saying emotions, talking about them. It's different than just venting to a friend. It's different from just talking about it in therapy. It's about going toward the feeling, letting your body experience it, like literally allow your body to feel it and know that it's okay and safe to feel these things, these emotions, in whatever natural expression that it wants to, whether that's anger, grief, fear, or the deep sob that's been waiting for years. This was one of the most pivotal turning points for me, and has contributed to me feeling probably the best in my body I've ever felt in the past couple years. Really specifically in the past year is when I really dug deep and did a daily practice of expressing my emotions while I held myself in it. I held the fear. I allowed my body and my mind to go there. It's when I got serious about emotional expression and somatically working with it that I really started to transform. My body understood that, oh, these things are safe to feel. So I don't need to collapse you and send you fatigue and brain fog and nervous system dysregulation and food sensitivities and migraines and pain whenever these emotions are activated in life. Okay, number 5 is spiritual connection or something bigger than symptoms. So there's a sprinkle of spiritual content that I have here that I talk about. But to be honest, I don't think I talk about it enough in relation to actually how large it is in my life and how huge it's been a part of my healing journey. And that's because I understand everyone's different. You don't need to be spiritual, you don't need to be religious to recover at all. And also, I do see it as something that's very, very helpful for people. And that's why I kind of tread carefully around this because I know that everyone comes from a different place. So, this is in a very non denominational way, but basically, your nervous system calms when it doesn't feel alone. That's where we're starting here with spirituality. The fact that when we are alone, as humans, we're not meant to live alone, to be alone. Like co regulation is huge. That's why mentorship, coaching, small groups, connecting with people who get it is actually incredibly healing and a big part of this process. If you're just doing it alone, you feel more isolated and your nervous system is a little bit more on edge. So, first and foremost, your nervous system calms when it doesn't feel alone. And that's actually polyvagal nervous system theory, co regulation, right? So, the sense of being connected to another nervous system, another presence, is one of the most powerful regulators that we have. And for a lot of people, a sense of spiritual connection or something larger than themselves provides a version of that co-regulation. It really provides a sense of surrender and exhale and safety when we can lean on something higher than ourselves in some of our worst times. When I would be in some of the worst flares on the couch, questioning everything, at one point I was just convinced that I was a fraud because I started to teach this work and then I had a huge flare for months. And I was questioning it all. I was like, well, it's not working. I can't believe I'm teaching this. Like, I'm a fraud. What is the point of all this? I mean, I was going through a true, like, dark night of the soul. But what started to pull me out were two things. One, when I got serious about emotional expression, which I just talked about. And then two, it was the surrender. It was the trusting that this moment was teaching me something, trusting that I was held even when I couldn't feel. And I'm not saying you need to believe in anything specific, but for me and for many people, trusting in a higher power in the universe, knowing that this is temporary, this won't last forever, and this is just part of your life path right now, can actually be comforting. So, the experience of being part of something larger than your own suffering gives your nervous system a kind of rest that nothing else quite provides. For some people, that's prayer or meditation. For some, it's being in nature. For some, it's community. For some, it's connecting with some sort of higher power or the universe and the experience of truly being seen in that way and by other humans. For some, it's creativity or music or the sense that your life is part of a larger story. Whatever form that it takes, it's completely great. That's fine. A nervous system that only has itself to regulate is working a lot harder than it needs to. So I encourage you, if you have some sort of spiritual practice, really lean on that. And if you don't, explore. What would it be like to trust in the universe, whatever that might mean to you? Just start to learn a little bit more about that. Grab onto it because we can get really lost in the reality of this life. And it's can be very, very nourishing and helpful to explore a higher sense of self, which actually leads me into the last one. Number 6, authentic self expression. Okay. So I saved this one for last because it's the layer most approaches don't always get to when we talk about safety in the nervous system. And it's truly the one that we end up getting to, like really understanding our authentic self and being that and expressing that is actually honestly what all of this is about. Because, well, first and foremost, okay, there's some research in psychology and the clinical experience of practitioners working in this space both point towards the fact that chronic nervous system dysregulation is often connected to a chronic suppression of self, the authentic self, the one who has needs, preferences, opinions, emotions, a way of being in this world that is genuinely theirs, but that we often consistently suppress. So when we perform versions of ourselves to be acceptable, to be loved, to be safe, our nervous system registers that performance as a threat. That's what we've probably learned over time because you've been told to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to act a certain way, to be accepted and to be loved. Because on some level, your nervous system says, yeah, well, we've learned that you got to be this certain way, fit into this box. And if you go outside of that, it's not safe. You go against the norm, you're rejected. So, living a life that isn't really yours is actually really exhausting to a degree that goes bone deep. And for a lot of people with chronic illness, there's really a strong version of this story. Maybe you're the overachiever, the people pleaser, the relentless okayness, the self who learned that who they actually were wasn't quite enough. Or maybe you were the one who was told you were too much. Stop expressing, stop feeling, it's too much. So you suppressed, you pulled back, you repressed. And so the opposite of that, creating that safe place in your nervous system ultimately means creating safety for your actual self to exist, to have needs, to say no, to be seen without performing, to stop proving that you deserve the space that you're in, to be who you truly are. And this is really happens on a physiological level. A nervous system that has to maintain a performance does not feel safe. It is in a low grade state of activation all the time because the threat is protecting against is the exposure of who you really are. So coming home to yourself, that slow, sometimes frightening, always worth it process of dropping the performance and letting yourself be real is one of the most powerful safety signals you can send. It's also the most uncomfortable. It's the most vulnerable. It's what comes up time and time again with all of my clients and myself. Oh my gosh, I have layer upon layer upon layer around releasing the mask that I've held for so long and really getting to the place of my authentic self. And what does that even mean? Okay, truly looks different from like year to year, to be honest. I'm still learning. But the more I allow myself to be me and know that it's okay, regardless of the outcome, it creates layer upon layer of foundational safety. Okay, remember that none of these are one and done. They're practices. They build and they work differently for different people. So I want you to take what lands and leave what doesn't. And again, if you found yourself lighting up during any of these, especially the last one, that's not just necessarily an accident. Like something is very deeply resonating with you. So it's often something that's ready to move. And if you really want to take this deeper and learn on a day to day basis how to show up and help yourself, that is exactly what the Mind Body Healing Method is here for. And it's where I teach all the depth, the tools, the practices, the kind of community where you don't have to explain why you're afraid of a plate of food. You just are and you get it and you rewire it and we move on. So I want you to have the life, the authentic life that you truly want. And in order to do that, we got to work with your nervous system. If you want to go deeper, the link is in the show notes. DM me if you have any questions. And as always, keep healing with grace. I'll talk to y'all next week.